Hello soul buddies, welcome back to the channel. If you're just joining us here for the very first time, you're highly welcome. My name is Joy and I am the tutor for this channel, Uwe by Angli. In today's video, we are going to be learning how to make a cowl neck dress with a shoulder yoke. If this video is something that you've always wanted to learn, if this tutorial is something you've always wanted to come across, then I recommend you watch to the very end as you get good value for your time. So here, starting, the first thing I've gone ahead to do is to outline my basic bodice block. I did a tutorial on how to draft your basic bodice block. I'm going to be linking that in the video. Yeah, I've gone ahead to label out the back and the front. The next thing I've gone ahead to do is to mark out my knee length. Yeah, from the waist to my knee is 19 inches, and I've gone ahead to mark it out for both the front and the back. So yeah, I'm drawing a horizontal line from one end of the paper to the other end of the paper, and then I'm just going to link it down with the vertical line for the side back, the center back, and the side front. I've gone ahead to label out KL for knee length. I'm also going to go ahead and extend that line to the tail end of the paper like you are seeing me do. Now after that, from the shoulder tip of the back pattern, I'm going to measure out the full length of that paper so that I know when I'm cutting out the full length of my gown, I know where the paper ended. So yeah, what I've gone ahead to do is to mark out 1.5 for the center back, 1.25 for the side back, and 1.25 for the side front, just to give it that fitting at the knee part. Remember, this dress is going to be a straight cut dress, but I'm just going to give it a little mermaid at the down part because I don't want to be putting a slit. But even at that, the dress is a stretchy one, so even with a straight cut, it's going to be easy to move around. Yeah, I cut out the upper part of my bodice. I've just gone ahead to cut that out so that we can start altering and adapting it to the cowl neck pattern. So the next thing I'm gone ahead to do here is to transfer my dart to the neck. So I want to transfer this shoulder dart to the neck. So that is what I'm doing right now. I mark out the new position and then cut it out and then transfer it. I'm gonna have to stick that down. The next thing I'm doing here is to mark out the yoke. Here I used a 1.5 for the neck and a 2.5 for the shoulder. So I've marked out the yoke. After that, manipulating for the cowl neck now, I'm gonna have to stick down the center front on a new paper. That's the center front part of this my front bodice on a new paper, and then for that other side of the dart, I'm going to go ahead to cut it out like so. Just rule a horizontal line from the armhole down to the bust point, and then I've cut it out like so. I went ahead to mark out the point at the neck of the dart so that when I'm spreading and opening up, I'll know the extent to which I'm opening up for the cowl neck. Now the more you open, the more drape you're going to be getting at the cowl neck, at the neck area, and the more deep it's going to be. So after I've done that, I cut out the yoke so that I can now work on the other part of the bodice and then just outline this new pattern like so. So I have gone ahead to do that, and then I'm going to be cutting it out. This is going to now be my new front pattern. Now remember that this bodice has a gathering at that yoke area. It's not just joined to the yoke area, it has a gathering at that yoke area, the shoulder area. So I want to go ahead and cut and spread so that I'm going to get that gathering. So yeah, I've gone ahead to spread it out evenly after cutting it at the shoulder and also at the center front, linking it to the center front. I'll go ahead to spread this out evenly like so, and then I'm going to mark out the new pattern for the front. So that's what I'm going ahead to do. It's time to now outline the new front pattern. So I've also gone ahead to measure out the new shoulder part so that when I'm gathering, I'll know to what extent I'll be gathering. Mind you, I'm also going to be gathering that part to match up with the yoke at the shoulder. So yeah, this is what our new front pattern looks like, and I've gone ahead to mark out the shoulder to label it out, and here is our back pattern. So the upper bodice pattern is now set. Going to the down part, the lower bodice, I've gone ahead to place this out like so, and also extended it for my full. Remember, we marked 42, which is where the paper ended, so I just went ahead and added my full length, which is 60. I added the extra inches to give me the 60 inches, and then I cut it out. Now I'm placing my front pattern cut out on my fabric like so. Before you do that, you want to fold your fabric on the diagonal because it gives you more drape. So I've done that, and also folded a triangle for the cloth, and then gone ahead to cut out, like add my necessary allowance and then cut it out. I added a 0.5 inch for the waist part, a 1 inch for the side seam, and then a 0.5 inch for every other part. I'm cutting out the shoulder and also cutting the facing for the back, because the back is going to be having a facing. This dress doesn't have a lining, so definitely you need a facing to turn the neckline of the back. The front part already has a cut together facing with that the cowl neck part. So yeah, I'm sewing the first thing I'm doing here while sewing is to sew down my darts, the 4 darts on the waist part. I'll go ahead and do that, 2 for the front and 2 for the back. Remember your dart length from the basic bodice block. So I've gone ahead to measure that, and then I'm just going ahead to sew down my darts. After that, the next thing I'm doing is to shape the skirt part, that's the down part of this dress. Then here for the zip part, the center back, I came down 10 inches and then started from the 10-inch mark for my zip, for my back stitch, that's the stitch at the back. So the opening is going to be where my zip is going to be. That's after I've joined it to the upper part of this dress. Now coming on to the upper part of the dress, the first thing you want to do is to join your back facing to your back neck. That's to join the facing and the main fabric together. Join it at the neck, give it a notch to release the tension, and then you do a top stitch on the facing, which is acting as the lining of the dress. The next thing I'm working on here is my front piece. Remember, this part is going to be gathered, and then I've gone ahead to measure the part is going to be joining with, which is 6 inches, meaning that I'm going to gather it to the 6 inches length. At this point, it is longer than 6 inches, so that is what I'm going ahead to do. The first thing I'm doing here is just to sew down this facing part to the main fabric like so that it doesn't move around. After that, I'm going to be doing a gathering stitch to stitch this down. To give me a fine gathers, I'm going to be doing this gathering stitch in 2 places. I'm going to be running the stitch twice. After that, I'll pick the top thread of this stitch. Remember, when you're doing a gathering, you don't back stitch, you don't tighten it, you don't back stitch, so that you'll be able to pull. So yeah, I'm going ahead to do that pull. So after pulling, I'm just going to spread this evenly, spread it evenly so that it gives me 6 inches. So yeah, I just measured out to see if it's up to 6 inches. Spread it continuously. Now yeah, it's up to 6 inches. So the next thing I'm going to do is to sew that yoke, sewing the neck part of that yoke just like we did for the back neck. You're going to sew this down and then do a top stitch on the lining parts of that yoke. So I've gone ahead to do that for the 2 yokes. So now joining it to the front shoulder, joining this shoulder yoke to the front part, you want to sandwich the yoke in between the 2 parts of, you want to sandwich this front piece, the gathered part, in between the 2 parts of the yoke, like so, just like you sew your shoulder, joining your back shoulder and your front shoulder. That's what you want to do. So I've gone ahead to do that, and then they meet perfectly, just exactly 6 inches like I measured out. After that, that gathered the gathering stitch you ran, you want to pull it out so that it doesn't show on the right side. So yeah, this is what it's looking like. I'm just showing you a little snippet of how the dress is coming in together. Then joining our shoulder, I've gone ahead to join the front shoulder to the back shoulder, sandwiching the front shoulder inside the back shoulder, just like we did for the yoke, so that the rough end is hidden inside. Now I would have trimmed off that excess because after sewing I realized that the bulk was showing. So when you're sewing yours, please do trim off the excess at the shoulder part and also the yoke part. So yeah, I just merged it together to see what it looks like. I've gone ahead to fix my sleeve off camera, and then I'm going to be fixing my zip off camera, so and joining the waist to the upper part. Please, if you're enjoying this tutorial, do not forget to hit the subscribe button. Look at what the finished product looks like. It looks so perfect and so neat. In a spirit of transparency, after sewing this dress, it was a bit loose, so I went ahead and shaped it in. It was loose because this fabric is very stretchy, so if you're using a stretchy fabric, also put that into consideration. Thank you so much for coming with me on this ride. Please do not forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and also turn on post notification if you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for sticking with me to the very end, and I'll see you in my very next one. Do have a lovely day, so buddies. Bye.